This film is dedicated to carrying out the ancient Belarusian customs today. The film shows the celebration of Kupalye, Belarusian traditional holiday dedicated to the summer solstice. Kupalye, the ancient rite, which was celebrated in rural culture everywhere in Belarus. Polyfunctionality and polysmanticity is characteristically for Kupalye, which partly remains relevant in our time. Midsummer is supported by a deep mythological base which provides the basis for the formation of many ritual actions during the whole celebration. Organizers of the festival were intended to get most closely to the ancient structure and the course of the ceremony, to display it in its traditional look as precisely as possible. The celebration took place on June 22, 2011 in the Belarusian State Museum of Architecture and Life. There are architectural buildings of Belarusian traditional village in the natural space in this open-air museum. They are placed in accordance with the tradition of the Belarusian village building. Traditional elements of the rite were used during the celebration: time, place of action, an order of ritual doings, costumes, paraphernalia, songs, dances, games, actors and characters. The celebration was attended by Belarusian folk bands, Vesnyanka, Vita, Varus, Sunichki, Toloka, Etnosipulka, as well as spectators and visitors to the museum. Everyone could join the celebration and take part in the ritual actions. Folklore groups rehearsed in advance a number of certain Kupalye songs and sang them during the celebration. Other participants could join singing and celebrating. Lyrics were distributed along with the program of the festival at the entrance. Some Kupalye songs, as well as other Belarusian calendar ceremonial songs, tends to the implementation of the canons. In ancient Belarusian tradition, Kupalye used to begin with meeting of participants of celebration at the specified location. This place could be a crossing of roads, the beginning of the village street, or some kind of a special place in the village crossing by lots of people. The group of young people gathered at festival, all villagers calling them with singing Kupalye songs specially designed for this action. In this case, gathering place was chosen at the museum area near the entrance. All participants of the event came over this place. Folk bands performed the song, attracting everyone's attention, and thus collecting museum visitors around. Tradition carriers used to tell many legends connected to Kupalye during the celebration. Thus folklore passed down from the older generation to the younger. A worker of the museum playing a role, an old woman, tells participants the legends of Kupalye. There are the legend of fern flower, the miraculous properties of herbs, Kupalye wreaths symbolism, numerology, Kupalye bonfire. She explains how to collect Kupalye herbs, tells how to weave wreaths and speculate on them, how to find a fern flower and what to do in order to get certain benefits of owning them. characters introduces in the traditional form to other participants of the holiday the part of the Belarusian mythology related to Kupalle. Gathering of the participants of the celebration in the Belarusian tradition foreshadowed Kupalle procession, bypassing of the village. In this context, village is the museum exposition. The procession was headed by a Kupalish standing for himself with the wreath. Kupalish bears Kupalle wheel, one of the most important attributes of celebration. Usual old wheel attached to a long pole or thin tree trunk cut down was used as Kupalle wheel. They used a decorated tree instead of wheels in the regional traditions. Kupalish was elected among rural young unmarried men who had been born the day of Kupalle, or close to that date. Kupalish could be chosen by young girls or old man and woman. Two characters, old man and woman, were introduced to the feast. They appealed to the participants of the festival during the selection of Kupalish talking to each other at that time. They gently explained the peculiarities of Kupalish choosing and elects a person for this role. They put him Kupalle wreath and give him Kupalle wheel. Old man and woman could be comic characters, disguised with humor. But Kupalish and Kupalinka were the leading figures of Kupalle. They were persons carrying a sacred meaning, so the approach to him was more serious. They were dressed in traditional festive outfits. All folklore groups attending the celebration were wearing festive attire, as even some of the festival visitors, who had no relationship to the organization, and just came to take part in the celebration. A popular pastime as on Kupalle and other holidays were riding on the cart with a horse. Cart and the horse could be decorated with flowers, ribbons, bells. Kupalish starts Hack March, and its members start singing the songs that were intended to this ritual act.
боюсь выйти на улицу, я ж боюсь выйти на улицу. Боюсь ведьмы чаровницы, боюсь ведьмы чаровницы.
The beginning of Kупалле celebration refers to the most ancient times, when people worshipped objects inflicting harm and benefit. These are cults of natural elements, sun, water, soil, vegetation, fire, which are embodied in practice in every ritual action and its components. The influence of religion, secular culture, globalization has not destroyed all the legends of pagan antiquity to this time, and Kупалле come down to us almost in the same form in which it was celebrated a few centuries ago, keeping its original pagan character. Holiday, shown in the film, is based on the materials supplied by ethnographers of the 20th century, notes, music notation, video, audio. It continues a certain way of Kупалле celebrating tradition, inscribing it in the present. Bypassing of the courtyards was of great importance in traditional culture. It called for absolutely all people to come to the celebration of Kупалле. Therefore, we can talk about the universal character of Kупалле celebration. All those who did not have time to finish chores or for some reason embarrassed to go to the celebration of Kупалле were at home during the bypassing. Kупalле procession fitted to these homes and led them to the celebration in any case. The procession stopped at each house and led off a traditional dialogue with its inhabitants. Holiday characters were waiting in a number of museum buildings situated on their way of Kупalле procession. They embody those people stayed home for some reasons. The first woman represents a owner of the village who prepares Kупalле herbs. It was believed that herbs during Kупalле possess magical properties, able to cure disease, to ward off evil spirits and people, as well as to give person happiness and health. The owner of the house in an improvised dialogue with participants of the holiday shares legends of Kупalле herbs, which herbs were collected on Kупalле and what were it used for. For example, Maria herb is recollected. It don't allow the thief to enter the house. In the dialogue Kупalле beliefs of prohibiting of the loans of bread and fire were recollected. The man trying to borrow these things was proclaimed a sorcerer. They were talking about Gromnica candle had been made on Candlemas on February, and had been used for protection of evil spirits, which allegedly stepped on the summer solstice. Nettle was also used to distillate witches. One of the women was trying to borrow a match from the second one. She seems a witch, and the second woman repel her from her homestead with a nettle. Thus Kупalле procession continues its way with singing. Celebrating. Kupalle songs are woven into the rite organically. It makes up an integral part of Kupalle rite. The course of ritual actions is teased in Kupalle songs. Subjects of Kupalle ritual poetry are mainly agrarian and intimate. There are humorous and lyrical, funny and sad, magical and entertaining songs among them. Artistic reconstruction of Kupalle was impossible without song repertoire. 6 typical tunes of Kupalle was recorded at the territory of Belarus. Functional typological principle was put at the heart of classification of the tunes. Kupalle songs types are defined as complex intonational formula, each of which is implemented with a different musical expression. The woman from the next house tells about Kupalle herbs and wreaths. Herb picking rite was fixed almost everywhere in Belarus. There were oak, aspen, rowan branches, cornflowers, rue, Ivandomaria, burdock, porridge, hump, celandine, chickweed, calamus, cane stalks, rye, tulips and others. Each herb collector tries to pick as many flowers as possible. These herbs are stored throughout the year and are used to protection from evil forces, decoration of Kippalinka, in folk medicine and veterinary, divination, magic, selling. They bring the collected herbs at home with songs. Herbs was also used for feeding cows. The owner fumigated sick animals before they go to the field the first time after the winter. These herbs were used for fumigating the house, sheds, barns and other buildings in the case of visiting the house by a man with an evil eye, or a witch, sorcerer. When the storm was coming, the owner burned a handful of Kupalle herbs. It was used in order to get rid of the evil eye, as well as for searching for witches. Such using of the herbs due to people's perceptions about herbs reaching the highest development on the summer solstice, and therefore it could have a magical effect. Wreaths were woven of herbs. Wreaths could be used the same way as Kupalle herbs. Wreaths were used as a headdress for young people on Kupalle, divination with wreaths, attributes of Kippalinka's decoration. Wreaths were woven by persons who had not been married, both boys and girls. A number of girls' rituals as the selection and dressing Kipalka took place upon completion of weaving wreaths. This rite was committed at the traditional places of wreaths weaving, at the forest, meadow, field. Girls selected a most beautiful of them, puts flowers, garlands of flowers and wreaths on her head and body. In the evening girls throw wreaths into the water. The next day they went to watch the way their wreaths swayed. They have to go this way and get married. Any pairs puts their wreaths on the water and watch it swimming. Separation of wreaths means misery for pair. If the wreath sank, death. If the wreath stopped and joined the other, 2 persons will not be together, and etc. For the divination they collected 12 varieties of different herbs. Then they go to the crossroads praying to the angels. After that they go home, in silence, speaking to nobody, go to bed. After that bride should come in dreams. They put a cloth bundle in the house of the young girl. This bundle symbolizes the newborn baby. It was a joke, mocking. Thus the villagers tried to let her know that it was the time for her to get married. This ancient ritual action was carried out on Kupalle and many other calendar holidays. Thus a respect for the family lifestyle was maintained and reluctance of young people to undertake a marriage was mocking. She tells the story of divination for young girls, which could be made on the Kupalle night. For example, to do this a girl naked should come to the field in the morning to unpick plantain using only her tooth, put it under the pillow and go to sleep. Thus her bride had to come in dreams. She said that her father had gone to watch the rye to stop which is harming it. It reveals the meaning of the beliefs. According to this belief witches spoiled rye ears on Kupalle night making kinks to spoil the harvest. Witches wanted to contribute to the deterioration of the health of residents of the house, their domestic animals and to the disappearance of the welfare of their lives. After a conversation with the girl, Kupalle procession goes to the field to bypass it. Bypassing the field around was designed to protect it with defensive ring and to resist of the penetration of witches. Shot a real-time movie. Operators were also the participants of procession and celebration. We call this a participant observation. traditional Belarusian instruments were used. It allowed to come to tradition the most close. Duda is Belarusian national instrument. Dancing. Round dances were usually danced by unmarried girls. Singing around the bonfire during the breaks between dances provided a constant fullness of celebration place with traditional music. procession with wreaths was carried thereby. Girls gave their Kupalye wreaths to Kupalka. Her eyes were tied. Then she gives wreaths back to the girls. Wreaths decided the fate of these girls. Burning of Kupalye wheel and ignition of Kupalye fire is shown now. Kuplinka bypasses the place of the holiday with the fire. Kupalinka carries fire and Kupalish carries the wheel.
Дальше танец кокетка.